Do you ever get started on a new song, you write an awesome verse and chorus, or you write a fire 4-bar drum loop, but you struggle to get past that point on the song? You may start a piece of music and you really enjoy it, but then you eventually step back and you start judging it and comparing it to other things that are out there. Or you may put it away for a while, then you eventually come back to it and it just doesn't feel like it did when you were working on it the first time. Starting something is fun, it's exhilarating, and it feels like uncharted territory. Then eventually you stop moving forward with that initial momentum you have, and you feel like you're stuck in the middle. The progress slows down, and you start to see all these barriers to getting the project finished. We need a way to get you to the other side, to help you to make progress on your music so you can get it closer to being done. There's a concept in behavioral psychology called the goal gradient effect. So when we start a task, let's use the example of running a mile. You're excited to run, you have a lot of energy, you feel excited, the sun is out, the breeze feels great, your shoes feel great, and you start running really fast. Then, as you get a little farther, you start to break a sweat, your heartbeat starts to rise, your breath feels a little bit labored, and you realize that you didn't stretch out those ankles quite enough. We started off really strong, but we're starting to feel it. We might be making progress here, but it sure feels really slow, like we're not making any progress at all. The thought definitely crosses your mind to just stop and walk home, but you somehow stick to it without giving up, and after what feels like forever, you eventually look down at your smartwatch and you realize that you're 3/4 of the way there. You're over halfway at this point, you're almost done, you got this. The excitement starts to kick back up again, you start to think about how good it'll feel to get done with the run. Your focus locks in a little bit more and your speed, it starts to increase again. Eventually, you cross that finish line and you make that mile. Think about that journey. The path isn't linear, right? It looked more like this. The same thing happens with our music. Once you get past that initial excitement of a new song, you may start comparing it to other songs that are out there. You may question if you're using the right sounds, the right technique, the right lyrics. And if you were using a reference song, you're now at a point where you need to start making decisions that diverge away from the original song. Otherwise, if you keep following that reference song, you might end up copying it, and you don't want to do that. Almost every project we work on, it has the possibility to slow down like this in the middle. And sometimes we may never pick it back up. Why do we do this? We may do it multiple times. A lot of musicians have phones filled with voice memos and lyrics that they never get back to. The first reason is that we stop making progress on it and we start to judge it. We're afraid of a sunk cost situation where we put a lot of effort into something and it doesn't turn out to be good. Sometimes that fear stops us from moving forward on it regardless. We might also be afraid that if we don't get another strike of inspiration to finish it the right way, any progress we try to make on the thing will be ruining what we already have. So, what do? We freeze, we forget about it, we move on to something else.
Time to reward myself with a very long and disproportionate break.
And we might repeat the same cycle with a bunch of different projects. Obviously, we need to change something about our process so that we can move forward and start getting some music finished. The first thing you need to try is to change what finished looks like. Before you work towards finishing your song, really break down what still needs to be done to call the project finished. What does finished look like to you? Take some time to think what would be the most basic, least amount of effort I can put into the project and still consider it finished. What does that look like? This way of thinking requires you to change your expectations about finishing the piece of music. If you started working on the song thinking, this might finally be the one that sounds like the artist I really admire, or this song might finally be the one that changes my career for the better and makes me famous and gets me to go viral on TikTok, if you're thinking these things, you're already shooting yourself in the foot. Why?
Why?
Because you're already putting yourself in a situation where if you don't hit that goal, then anything short of that is a failure. Try thinking about the project in a different way. What if you were to think about it as an experiment or something that your alter ego would come up with? How does that change it? The way I do this is by trying to picture the end of the project. What is the least I could do to get the project finished? This way, anything I do above that is just a plus. And then I work backwards from there and understand what I need to do to get it to that point. For me, that's something I always need. And if I don't have that, then I either feel lost and I feel like I'm making no progress, or it's a situation where I'm just experimenting and playing around and I have no real goal. These high expectations that we come up with for our music, they act like a kink in a garden hose. We have two ways to overcome that kink. We can either muster up all of our courage, our strength, our skills, use all of our effort, work as hard as we ever could to get over that kink, and just barely squeeze through, or we can open the kink up and allow the water to flow more easily. We're changing our expectations, we're lowering the barriers, and it flows so much better this way. It can be very helpful to set milestones for your music. Milestone 1 might be the lyrics, number 2 might be the song structure, number 3 might be the sound palette, and on depending on your music. These milestones keep you on a path of simple, reliable goals for your project. I guarantee that if you get all the way through one of these milestones, instead of doing 10% of each, you will feel like you're on a better path to finishing it. When I write a video for YouTube, I have the same milestones for each video I do. I have the topic and outline, the script, shooting A-roll and B-roll, the rough cut edit, deep editing, adding visuals, thumbnail and title, posting the video. If I spend a lot of time and effort on just one of these things, then it gives me the courage to move to the next step and do the next one correctly. There's been a lot of times where I've used a half-baked idea, one that I didn't fully think through, and I shot a video that wasn't very good and I didn't think about the lighting. Then I try to make that all up in the editing phase down the line, and I hate the video and I'm not proud of it. It just never seems to work and I always feel bad about the time I wasted on that project. So find your milestones and do one of them correctly and see where it takes you from there. I know through watching this video you're thinking about projects that you have that you need to go back to and finish. Get that music finished and know that there will be another song to work on in the future. Be excited about the idea that you can iterate on your music. Guess what? Once you finish the song you're working on, you can get started on the next. And you're going to use the experience you gained finishing the last song to help you finish this next one quicker. If you never practice finishing music, it will always feel hard to finish. Don't just be a creator, be a finisher.